So, Google is planning a game platform that could take on Xbox and PlayStation, if you believe such crazy things.
I don't.
I feel like it's gonna get it's like overhyped right now. I really don't feel like it's going to be what it is, what they're talking about. Hold on, let me bring up the actual text. But
I can pretty much talk to it if you want, John. So pretty much, Jason Schreier was reporting on it from Kotaku, talking about some people that he's had some conversations with, some reputable sources I guess they can't disclose. Google has now been taking meetings, I guess, at some gaming conferences. They're at the Game Developers Conference, and they were kind of pitching this idea of a kind of gaming platform, which has been done before in different variations. But a gaming platform that was pretty much streaming right to any device that you had. It had nothing to do with specs or hardware or anything like that. It would be something along the lines of, like, you wanted to play The Witcher, you would be able to pull up a tab on Google Chrome and play The Witcher right there with this type of a platform. There's all sorts of questions bubbling over right now about if the internet's good enough to actually handle that, and questions about latency and frame rate and graphic fidelity. So there's a lot of questions about it. I think it still comes back to, if you're going to have a platform like this, it has to be done well, has to be reasonably priced, and it needs to have some big games or big names of games that are going to be somewhat exclusive. It may be entirely exclusive or partially exclusive for a period of time, that show up on this actual platform first. If they don't have games that make people go over there and want to play it, then I don't think there's room for another fourth type of console, because it wouldn't be really a console as much as it would be a service.
Yeah. So it'll just be an add-on to the Google takeover of the world.
Exactly.
Although I do think that I read that there was going to be a streaming aspect, like a streaming service, where they would offset the game would run on computers elsewhere, but play on low spec computers.
Yeah.
But also they would have a hardware console, like something that they could sell to you to have in your home. So that there would be an actual console in addition to this service, and they would maybe work together. That's what I read somewhere. So that could be an actual console. But
I think from what I was reading about it, it was more along the lines of like almost like a streaming box than it was like a hardware high spec console.
Right.
It would be more, I guess, inclined to be like, hey, this is the box that is super efficient at, streaming everything, including games, and they would sell you a controller with it to try and get your foot in the door. But what my assumption would be is that Google would then be able to use this platform to then put it on your computer, put it on your phones, put it on your tablets, and you wouldn't have to worry about that type of hardware. If they really want to get it to work that way, I think that's the way that it has to go. It has to be that high fidelity streaming game service that nobody up until this point has had the ability to do.
So if they're first, that's going to be a big thing, because like you just said, Phil Spencer's talking about doing the same sort of situation. The big thing, though, is I don't mean to cut you off, John. I saw you had a thought in there, but
just real quick, John, before you go forward, the PlayStation Now is what this is talking about. Like, PlayStation Now only works with PlayStation. But ideally, if they wanted to play it on other platforms, they potentially could, if they can get the other, phones, tablets, computers working on it. Like, you can actually use PlayStation Now on your PC with a PlayStation 4 DualShock controller.
But the way they describe this Google streaming platform is that even if you don't have the hardware to play a high spec game, that they would do it for you, that they load the graphics for you, all that kind of stuff, and it would work perfectly fine on your low-spec computer or system.
Yeah, so, that's what the PlayStation Now does do, too.
It does do that?
It doesn't have anything to do with the specs. It just has to do with your ability to stream the game to whatever the console or platform would be.
I feel that... See, that's a good thing and a bad thing. It'll save you money by not having to buy a high-spec console. However, it's really limiting the people that don't have like the internet to stream something like that, because where we are, there's Optimum and other, that's like the best one you can get around. There's no Fios where we are, but then you have like when you move like maybe 5 miles or 10 miles in one direction, then you start getting like lower grade internet. And honestly, like with Optimum, the monopoly is crazy. They just upped it $20 like within 2 months or whatever it was, just for the base internet, which it's good internet, but at the same time, it's like can families keep affording the internet to allow your streaming of all these games? You know what I mean? That's something they got to look into. They got to make, and it's obviously not Google's fault or any of that stuff, but it's just the internet.
It's something they need to take into consideration when they do these things, because these monopolies do exist, and the price of these companies do go up.
Because I remember there was, back in the 360 days, there was always like that hack with your router to make everything open, your NAT open, and that supposedly made everything better. There was no lag, especially games like Gears of War, where people were complaining about lag all the time with like, the Carmine played all the time.
Yeah.
So, and then it would make you want to, go back to like console, like our local multiplayer, where it's like couch co-op and stuff like that, where you don't have those glitching issues. So I think a system where it's just streaming and that's all it allows, it's going to be targeted at certain areas. Like we're lucky where we are, and we're lucky if you get a lot of internet where you are, but a lot of people still don't have that option where they can stream and everything's going to be lag free and perfect and all that stuff. So it's I don't know. I mean, that's the only drawback to something like this. Otherwise, it's a great idea. Like I said, you don't have to buy that upfront crazy price for whatever. But everything's kind of going down now. You can get a good, just talking PCs in general. You can get a good one for like $700 that can play most things. So it's coming down. But as far as consoles go, they're obviously still playing catch up with that. But I don't know. What do you think?
If Apple does decide to go along with its own pseudo competitor to the console wars, I hope it's.
You said Google. I thought you said Apple for a second. I was like, Apple?
I'm pretty sure he did say Apple.
Did I say Apple?
I think you did say Apple.
If Google does decide to go forward with it, I hope it's an actual console, not just a Roku box that streams.
Roku box.
Yeah, I hope it's an actual console. And its main gimmick is this streaming platform, but it actually has like a disc tray, and it's a console, but it's like PlayStation Store equivalent is this streaming service. That'd be cool. But at the same time, I'd rather not have. I will
make
console.
out with this mic on stream if it comes with a disc drive.
You heard that?
Yeah,
you heard that.
That's It's not, hey, listen. I mean, you have like things like the Fire Stick, stuff like that. Everything, and now Netflix has their platforms where you can have like the 4K streaming. I think, Carmen, I think you have something like that. But
yeah, what you're talking about, Netflix or?
I'm just talking, yeah, because I'm leaning into like the streaming aspects of it.
So yeah, so like the Fire TVs, the new Fire TVs from last year, they're 4K enabled, so they can actually stream like 4K movies and media.
Right. So basically, like you can have this box. This streaming box, obviously no disk drive, but just streaming, and then they'll stream the games like 4K, 60 frames a second, and if your TV's 4K, you'll get that 60 frames a second with it, and if the box is right there. So you don't need to worry about buying like the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Next, whatever it's going to be. You'll just have this basically just little box, or even a USB drive. You stick it in your computer, or your monitor, or your TV. So I'm getting at, and there you go. So
well, it's either way, this Google thing, it might not even end up being anything, because Google ends up announcing these projects.
It reminds me of the Ouya.
6 months.
Ouya.
Like Google Fiber, which has been held up,
or Google Glass. Remember Google Glass? That was a thing for a summer.
That was fun. For
that was the glasses, right?
The Scouter thing,
the augmented reality,
which would cause like millions of accidents on the road.
Yeah, and people were upset about privacy issues. Yeah, they start things, it doesn't work out, then they move on.
That's life. Just got to move on. Yeah. But
they have the capital to do it, though.
It's very interesting. Yeah, of course, and it's very interesting. I'm just curious to see what it is. Like, I'm not excited for it now, like you said, because there's nothing. Like, show me something. Show up at an E3 and surprise the hell out of everybody if this is how you want to do it. But right now, I'm just kind of like, I'll see what happens. Because maybe, you never know, maybe they'll have the funding for crazy publishers to make some crazy games, and then you're going to be like, well, okay, there you go. I'm going to get that now. And it's going to go just as fast as an S Classic.
Google goes and buys like Take-Two Interactive with all of Rockstar underneath it. They could probably do it.
Oh, yeah. You think
They have
they'll work
money.
on? You think they'll push VR, or do you think that's finally on its way
I think
out?
VR is going to be VR. I don't know if it's on its way out. I just think that they're going to try and move more towards the casual audience with VR. Even Sony said already that it hasn't really met its expectations. There was a article too about Microsoft recently stating that they're not really looking into anything with VR right now. So I'm not going to say that it's dead. I don't think a lot of people are saying that it's dead. You're still going to see games coming out for it, but I think that just right now it's kind of found the audience that it's looking for.
Yeah, but anyway, with Google be backing its own its own product, anything's possible. So, but anyway, final thoughts, guys.
It's a thing that might happen.
Maybe someday, one day, pie in the
Maybe
sky.
in the future. Anyway. All right, well, let us know in the comments below what you think, and if you guys are excited, what do you think about that streaming service only? Do you think that's something that isn't a big deal? Like, oh yeah, that's fantastic, that's great, don't worry about. Most people have good internet anyway, so it's not going to hurt anybody. But, or do you share my opinion that it's not going to be for everybody, because not everyone's going to be able to stream that. But anyway, hope for the best, and yeah, let us know in the comments below.
Hope for the best, expect the worst. Never be disappointed.
Pessimist. Right? That's it. Glass half
Preferred realist.
empty. Oh, there you go. That's actually more, yes, that's more realist. That's accurate. So, moving on.